Hello everyone, it's Luli. Today I'd like to do a review video on Café Enchanté, which is a game that was released earlier this month. I will be going through the synopsis, each of the characters, a general overview, who I would and would not recommend it to, and my personal rating as well as what I imagine the general rating is. But anyway, before I start, remember to like this video and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and also note that although I would not consider any of what I'm including in this video as spoilers, obviously what I consider a spoiler and what other people consider spoiler may be different. So although I'm only including things that you may find on the website or, you know, sort of my personal opinions regarding like maybe how the character looks or whatever, if you're incredibly sensitive then I would just move on just in case. But anyway, so the synopsis. So I personally thought that the official synopsis was not very descriptive. So it says something around the lines of Kotone is this girl and she inherits an inn from her grandfather, and then she finds out that the inn is not inn, what am I about? The cafe is for non-humans, and it's kind of like, okay, but what is it about, if that makes sense? And don't get me wrong, I agree, it is literally she inherits a cafe and it's for non-humans, and it's true, but I feel like what I'm going to add to the explanation is that actually, yes, she meets these characters, and then each of these characters have like their personal stories and things you find out about them as you play the character, and I think that's the beauty of the game. So that's what I'm adding onto the official synopsis. Now for the characters. The order in which I played the characters was Kanasu, which is the headless knight, Ignis, which is the fire beast creature thing, Lindo, which is the GPM government official human, and Il, which is the fallen angel, then finally Michelle, which is like the demon master person, not demon master, demon king, I guess, yeah. So the reason why I played it in this order was because that was kind of what was officially mentioned and suggested on Twitter by, I think, the developer or the person who made it. So I thought, you know what, I'll just follow that because I never know how to play these, like what order to play them. But moving on to descriptions, I'll go through each of the characters in the order which I played them. So firstly was Kanasu. He's a headless knight, so initially I thought, oh my god, am I actually going to enjoy this character, as I'm sure many people who've played this game have thought. But you know what, I was surprised. So you'd think, will I be able to tell what this character's thinking or what's their behaviour like? He's a real gentleman. He's like one of those friendly but awkward but super polite and lovely people. And what I think is the cute thing about him is that, so there's this fire coming out of his neck, right? And that shows how he's feeling. So I can't remember the exact colours, but for example, I think pink was when he was embarrassed. So, you know, when Kotone's done something and he's feeling a bit embarrassed about it, it'll go pink. And I personally thought, that's adorable. I don't know, I just thought it was really adorable. And and how Kotone and him kind of grow together, I thought it was very, very sweet, and I hope that, you know, they live a lovely, happy life together after this game. But yeah, no, I'd consider him the husband material of this game. Now, moving on to Ignis. He was my absolute favourite character. So he's like, I don't know what the exact term is, but he's a bit like a tsundere, so he has the dere part, but it's not quite tsun, but he's kind of like, to hide how embarrassed or shy he is, he gets kind of angry at you. And also, you gotta remember, he's kind of like a fire dog being, so he's also incredibly loyal, and I think I find that really, really charming and attractive. And also his story was quite, I don't know, I think his was the one that made me feel kind of like emotional the most, I think. So yeah, that's definitely my favourite. Now, the third one I played was Lindo. So he's the only human, but okay, this is the catch. He is 40 years old, which as a 26-year-old I found it very strange, and bearing in mind Kotone is also in her 20s, I think early 20s. So that age gap is really interesting, and initially I wasn't really looking forward to playing him because I don't really usually like older guys in these otome games. Reason being because usually the main character is super innocent and gets flustered and is awkward, while the older guy is like, yeah, whatever, I'm completely chilled, and that, I don't know what it is, but that bothers me. So yeah, no, I don't usually like older guys. But Lindo, it was a bit different. I was taken aback because that, obviously my first impression was, oh, he's going to be like one of those older guys, like the completely normal ones. Oh, here we go. That's what I was thinking. But with Lindo, I think there was a slight element of that. But because, well, I'm not going to say why, but his personality is kind of like, he's a bit distant, if that makes sense. So I guess the whole story is all about breaking into his small little bubble and getting to know him, and I think that development between the two, how they get close, I think was very well written, and I really appreciated it, and it really made the whole route enjoyable. I also found the storyline of Lindo the most interesting, so in that sense I also appreciated him the most. The fourth character was Il. Oh my gosh, Il. He's just so adorable in every single way. He's like this little, I don't know, I guess he hasn't experienced the world or something, so everyone around him feels like they need to protect him, even though he's super powerful. Yeah, it's I don't know what it is, but honestly, every time he appeared and said something, I was like, oh, bless you, like, you don't know how the world works. I don't know, I probably shouldn't be saying that since I'm young as well, but no, I was just, yeah, he was just a super duper adorable one. And again, going through the story, you get to know a little bit more about him as a character, and then you get to understand why he's so innocent and whatnot. And I think out of all of the different routes, his was the most sort of sad, maybe? I mean, you'd expect that, him being a fallen angel, so, but I think if you're moved quite easily and you're very teary-eyed, I think his route will maybe make you cry. I don't know, it depends. I mean, I'm so used to going through all these like different endings for different otome games that I'm not that sort of, I don't cry that easily when it comes to otome games anymore. But with Il, it was quite like, oh, I'm starting to tear up. So yeah, he's one of those routes. As for Michel, I would say that he was the first one that I noticed, the first one I thought, oh, he looks cute type of thing. And also he's very thoughtful and caring, like he's always helping out people, like protecting Kotone, and he's always so thoughtful, like he's always teaching her how to make coffee, and you know, he always makes jokes and stuff, and you think a demon lord would be kind of mean, but he's so far off from being a demon lord that you're like, oh my god, if this is a demon lord, then I'd be more than happy for him to be around. But yeah, that's the kind of character he is. So if you're into that kind of caring kind of guy that every now and then cracks a joke but is always being so thoughtful to others, then yeah, you'd definitely like him. So a general overview, I would say, is that one thing that really confused me was that you play all these routes and in each one drastic things happen, like I mean really drastic, where you're like, oh my god, this is terrible, or oh, that's really good, or you know, something big happens in sort of as part of their life, which means that you'll be playing, like, let's say I've played Canis and things happen in his life. When I move on to Ignis, I can't help but think, oh, I wonder if Canis is okay, because the whole reason everything went well is because obviously the love between the two, as is always the case. So the fact that Kotone isn't there, surely that means he's going through a rough time. I wonder if he's okay. And then I'll be playing Lindo and I'll be like, I hope Ignis is okay. It's just that all the routes were so unbelievably different that you couldn't help but think, are they okay? Because obviously the timeline is the same. But saying that, I think that's also a good thing, because it means every playthrough isn't going to be, you know, the same. So, you know, those games, in Japanese we call it kintaro ame, because kintaro ame is like this long sugar candy where cutting it you always see the same pattern, but it's not like that. So it's not like one of those games where you'll play the route once and then you have to go through the same dialogue throughout the whole thing again, even though the character route's different and implemented in there. It's not like that. Each route, once you finish the introduction chapters, is completely different, like a completely different story. So each playthrough is, you know, enjoyable. You're not getting bored. So in that sense it's good, but as a result, I couldn't help but think, I wonder if so-and-so is okay, I wonder if so-and-so is doing okay, because right now I know this happens in that route. So in that sense it was really weird. Graphics wise, I thought it was absolutely beautiful. So right from the start they basically implement the whole cafe aesthetic, so it's like almost like a menu, and the noise and everything about it is really well done and really pretty. Like all the CGs, I'd be looking at it like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous, I wish I could draw like that. And everything about it graphically was, yeah, really beautiful. And each character, you'd end up going to their world for some reason or another, naturally, as you'd expect, which means you get to experience these 4 different fantasy worlds, as well as sort of like Lindor's GPM government location. So I think that's really entertaining. It's just really pretty, and my favourite world is Canus's world, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but when I went there I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. And there are some that are sort of surprising, let's put it that way. So in that sense it was really good too. If there's one thing that I wasn't too fond of, it was the system. So I'm so used to now the luxury of just pressing the button and it skips to the next option screen. So instead of having to skip through the whole dialogue, which is what you have to do with Enchanté, you can just go flick and then you just end up in the next bit where you have to make a decision, which I personally really like. But unfortunately in Café Enchanté it did not have this option, so every playthrough you would have to, you know, click the skip button and then wait through the whole dialogue until you reach the option part. Saying that, I decided from like the 3rd route onwards that I'd just put it to the side and be playing Candy Crush or something on my phone, because then it doesn't really matter, you know, you can just ignore it, and when you realise it's already gone to the next chapter. So I suggest you do that as well. So the people who I would recommend this game to are those who want to experience a love story with sort of those that are not sort of conventional. So for example, you know, the headless guy or a 40-year-old. It's not something that appears in your average otome games. So if you're the type of person that likes exploring these different kinds of beings, then this is perfect. If you enjoy a fantasy setting, so if you like, you know, fairies or angels, or, you know, if you want to explore their world and kind of, you know, feel like you're going through their story, then yeah, again, this is great. If you like beautiful, if you play games mainly for characters as opposed to a generic storyline, this will be good, because, you know, it's all about the characters. It really is all about different characters, probably why the synopsis was so vague. If you play games mainly to enjoy the art, then 100% this is an absolutely gorgeous game. I was mesmerized by a lot of the background pictures and, you know, the CGs and everything. And obviously if you like coffee, because coffee constantly comes out of this, comes into play for this setting, considering it is based in a cafe, so you see her making coffee and you can't help but imagine what it must be like, and yeah, so that's another reason why I enjoyed it. Now, those who I would not recommend it to are those who want a conventional game where you like, for example, sometimes I feel like playing a high school based game, because I know that, you know, there's a senpai, there's a kohai, there's like your childhood best friend, you know, like sometimes I want to enjoy those conventional settings. If that's what you're looking for, this is definitely not the game, because it is all about fantasy characters. Which leads into the second one. if you're not into fantasy, then no, it's not going to be for you, because it is literally every route is kind of a fantasy setting. Even the human route fantasy settings come into play, although I'd say that route was more sci-fi, but anyway. Yeah, so if you don't like fantasy, you will probably want to skip this game. If you really can't stand the fact that you have to skip through the whole dialogue of the introduction chapters, then yeah, again, probably not for you. This is kind of like a would and would not. It's just that if you're only interested in, let's say, playing the Headless Knight and don't really care about the others, or you just want to play the 40-year-old and you don't care about the others, then it also may not be worth the money, if that makes sense, because you'd just be playing for that character, like paying for that character, which, I mean, if that's what you really want to do, that's fine, but I'm just saying, if there's characters that you don't really want to play, like for example, I was, as you know, pleasantly surprised, but I wasn't really that into like the 40-year-old, or I wasn't actually thinking I'd enjoy Ignis, although he turned out to be my favourite character. But if you know what I mean, if there's only like one character you want to play, then it's probably not worth it unless you're desperate to play that character. And finally, if you're looking for a game where it's like really deep, where there's the story and then the character roots kind of branch out of it, then it may not be also the game for you, because this game very much focuses on the life of the characters, the story of the characters. There's no main, like, there is sort of like the hidden, actually this is what was the case type of thing, but it's not like a solid main story, a bit like Hollow Malice, where, you know, there's like this terrorist group and the whole point is that they need to resolve the situation. It's not like that. It's, yeah, as I keep on saying, there are all these characters and you get to experience their life, not main story branches out, if that makes sense. So if that's what you're also looking for, yeah, I would not recommend it. And also, if you're not really if you're looking for more passionate love or something deeper, then it may not be for you, because this is a very, like, I'd like to refer to it as a pure kind of romance. So it's very sweet. They might kiss and it's like, oh, that's really sweet, which is fine if that's what you want. And I think if I was like maybe 16 or 17, I'd probably find that like, oh, that's really cute, and that would probably be enough for me. As someone who's sort of experienced all these otome games where there's like passion and like heartbreak and all of this, it was a bit kind of like, I wanted more, you know, I wanted more. So if you're like me and you've gone through so many otome games, or you're like, you want more, then it might be good to give it a miss, unless, you know, you've got the money. So that's that. So as for my personal rating, I would probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. And the reason why I haven't given it like a 4 or a 5 is because I personally was looking for more of a sort of main story base, and also like more passion, I suppose. And if I was like a bit more, if I hadn't played that many otome games when I was much younger, then I would probably find that sort of pure love quite cute and that romance really adorable. But as someone who has played so many, I was kind of looking for that more of a oomph factor. I don't know. And I also wanted a main storyline from which the character roots kind of branched off from, but was within that storyline, if that makes sense, because this, as I keep on saying, it is all about the character development and their stories. So that's why I haven't given it a 4 or 5. Not to mention, I guess when I compare my favourite character Ignis to my favourite character in other games, then I guess I'm not as fangirling over him as I was in the others, probably because of the innocent love, innocent romance thing. But saying that, the reason why it's not like below a 3 is because I thought all the stories were really well written and everything was done so perfectly. Like all the stories, I mean, I think there was maybe one that I thought, oh, that was a bit short, even though it's the same length as the others. But as other than that one, I thought all of them were very well written, and I could really immerse myself into them, especially with the different worlds, and there was so much versatility that I could really enjoy each route, as opposed to kind of getting really bored towards the end like I have in some games. So that's why I've given it like a slightly above average, because I didn't think of it as an average game because there were so many good elements to it. It just wasn't what I was looking for. As for a general rating, I would probably, well, I think at least people in Japan saw it as like a 4 or 5, where they were like really into it, and I think that may actually be because of the innocent love. Like, it's really cute watching that romance between the two, especially because they're like fumbling along, not really understanding, especially because you're talking about those who are non-human, like they may not understand like, why am I really in love with a human type of thing. So it probably was that which made it so popular in Japan. I mean, I don't know because I haven't really spoken to that many people over there, but that's the feeling I got from what people have been like saying as their own reviews. Also, it's a very different game from other games. It's not conventional in the slightest. I don't think there are many pure fantasy based games out there, at least not that I can think of. There just aren't many. Usually it's more like relatable, if you know what I mean. So I think in that sense it was very popular as well, because it was just so different. But yeah, so that's about it. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed the content. Also, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, sort of, you know, if you really disagree with me and you're thinking, God, how dare Luli insult this game that I absolutely enjoy, then obviously I'd like to hear your thoughts as well, because it might kind of make me realise things that I didn't before. And obviously, if you agree with me, then we can fangirl over whatever character and talk about it. Also, finally, I noticed that people seem to really like the previous review. Now, my guess is probably because it wasn't released yet, but I still did a review. I don't know. But if you're one of those who would like another review about other games like Amnesia or Column Malice, games that I've played that are in English, then I'm more than happy to do that. Comment and let me know. And also, unlocalized games, I understand that not many people necessarily speak Japanese, so they may not be able to play these unlocalized games, but if you would still like me to do a review, whether it be spoiler free or with spoilers, I would be more than happy to do that. So please do let me know if that's something you'd be interested in as well. But anyway, again, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will get to hear about your thoughts on this game as well. Bye!